So I was taking a walk the other day, right? And I was thinking about some of the things that I said on a couple of videos ago. I was talking about how this team is built to be a dynasty because of how many core players we have intact. You know, you think about 421, your 1A and 1B wide receivers, your O-line. You know, you got a young pass rusher coming up. We pay Randy Gregory, will be good. Corner. Like, we seem to be locked up in a lot of our core places, and you know, that's fire. But then I thought about when it is time to kind of rebuild, kind of sort of, and I don't want to get too deep into this because Cowboys whooping ass right now, so I don't want to get too deep into this, but I do think it's worth the discussion at this point in the season, which is almost about midpoint. What free agents that we picked up, because we just had the deadline for the trade situation or whatever, so what free agents did we pick up, and according to their impact, who do we consider bringing back next year and letting, you know, walk to free agency or whatever? And I think that's an interesting conversation because we only got a handful of spots. And I think it kind of depends on the position that you play, how good you are, and how much money you might demand. You see what I'm saying? Michael Gallup is probably a better player than Malik Hooker. You see what I mean? And both their contracts are up in 2022. But if Gallup is going to try to get wide receiver one money and Malik Hooker come back for $38 in a bag of chips, I'll gladly take another ride with Malik Hooker over Michael Gallup. So all this matters. Like, player skill only player skill thing that matters here is Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory is the only one, in my opinion, that's a priority. Got to come back next year, dude. And Stephen Jones has already said that he's one of those guys. You know, we're not going to mess around with Randy. We're going to get him his money. You know, we hope he take a little discount for all the turbulence he put us through, but 9 times out of 10 he probably won't. So I just started thinking about it, right? I went to spotrac.com. That's one of the tools I use if y'all want to look up things like this, you know, spotrac.com, and go to Cowboys. It'll show all the contracts or whatever. And I started looking down the list. It's a lot of contracts. Hold on. It's a lot of contracts that expire in 2022. Let me just pull it up right there. Like, it's plenty, many of them. And Van Der Esch is at the top of the list. And then just look at all the guys. I'm not going to name all of them, but just like, look at all these guys, bro. It's like, what, 15 or something people? I can't count. Y'all can count for me. I don't feel like stopping and counting right now. But that's like double-digit people right there, right? That's a lot of people that could possibly come back. Ty and Seki can go. Moving on. So I want to talk about Keanu Neal, in which he was interesting because he's the highest paid of all the one-year guys. All the one-year guys are kind of on that minimum deal, that 1.75 deal or whatever, and you know, they're all 1 year in that number. So, you know, some people got different guaranteed numbers or whatever, but that's the base number that they have. But Keanu Neal is like a 1 year $4 million guy. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't saying that $4 million is like a lot of money, because I kind of like what Keanu's doing. I like what he brings to our linebacker rotation. But you kind of take that idea and take that money and think about how much cheaper we are with these other guys that we're doing. And then, to be fair, we're probably going to end up drafting linebacker anyway to go along with Parsons and Jabril Cox next year anyway. I'm looking at Keanu Neal on this 1 year $4 million deal. I don't think that's a deal that we get done again, especially, you know, since we got to get brother Randy done. I think out of all these free agent dudes, I think whoever comes back for the low money, I think they have the biggest chance of coming back. I don't think Neal is going to do that after making $4 million this year. And is he playing up to his $4 million? Sure, he's probably playing like a $4 million character. But if you look at these other guys and how they playing for the 1.75, that's totally different. I know we had a lot of hope for Canada, but like, he hurt, and you can't be hurt and on a 1 year deal and losing your job to Anthony Brown. So I'm just going to assume Maurice Canada is not going to be a guy that comes back. I would have loved for Canada to get his shot, but we've seen to have gotten in our groove, and we'll just go ahead and transition to the next guy. Like, Jayron Kearse has made it pretty interesting with what he's able to do. He's on a 1.75 also. I think we're grossly underpaying him. And he's my first guy that I would bring back on this list, and I'll tell you why. Because he plays snaps at linebacker, at nickel, being big nickel guy. He's played deep free, he's played box safety, and he's green dot guy, right? Last week we had the experiment that we were going to leave play calling communication to Jayron Kearse. Green dot guy's the dude that got the microphone in his helmet that talked to the coaches and relays the plays to the rest of the defense. Micah Parsons was that guy for a little bit. So I'm assuming that because a couple of reasons probably, but I would say that Kearse is the veteran and Kearse plays all over the place, so he might see more of the field to where Mike is just kind of in the Mike spot or whatever. And Mike is a young guy, so Micah may be in a spot to where you just want to let that dude fly. He's a young guy and he has a lot of responsibility. Like, he's learned 3 linebacker spots, he plays the edge spots, he kind of moves all over the place. So maybe that's just a scheme that they use to get less responsibility on him. They talk about it in the interviews. There's like, hey, we're just gonna take stuff off of Parsons' plate, and you just saw Parsons able to run around. So you take those 4 positions that Kearse plays, and then you add the fact that he's green dot guy, plus the fact that he's playing damn well. Like, he has his own package. Like, he's the one that dictates the package, right? If he's at strong, all right, cool, he's there. But if he's at nickel, then we're in big nickel now. If he's in linebacker, that's a whole nother format. Like, he's the key to a lot of these personnel sets. So we look at Keanu Neal, his 1 year, $4 million. I ain't counting your pockets player, but if you making 1 year 4 and Kearse is making 1 year 1.75, I'll just take Neal's money, give it to Kearse, holla at you, Neal, love you to death. Keep Kearse and let Kearse be in the constant rotation on this team, being those 4 positions. In my mind, I talked to my homie Sadie Fresh, who's a Vikings fan. He was like, "Hey man, I love Jayron Kearse. Kearse was an incredible player, but he wanted to start, and Mike Zimmer wouldn't let him start. He can start in Dallas, damn it." I look at the free safeties, and it's so funny that we were looking at Kearse like, hey man, if Kearse was healthy, he'll be a good free safety for us. And then we looked at Malik like, hey, if Malik can stay healthy, that'll be a good free safety for us. And I think both these dudes have done a pretty decent job of staying relatively healthy. I don't know if it's because their Wonder Twin energies came together and they're just keeping each other healthy, but for the most part, there's a long season. We got a couple more games to go. We got double-digit games left to go, and it's a long season, but KZ and Hooker have been having a healthy rotation at free safety. Like, both of them get some, and both of them have made some plays. And it's interesting because Kearse is making more so of the plays in the passing game, to where he used to be a guy that plays a nickel in the box and do a lot of tackling stuff. And Hooker is the one that's making like you see Hooker coming up and tackling. We haven't seen Hooker really make the big pass deflection, interception type plays, and that's what Hooker was good at. So it's interesting. I like both those dudes as a pair. Do I think we'll keep both of them? Probably not. But this organization, like, we don't really draft free safety like that. You know what I'm saying? And I think free safety is one of those rare positions, especially when you got free safeties that can play. I think we got 2 of them. So in my mind, if both those dudes come back for low money, just keep both those dudes. I just don't think that'll happen. I think KZ might want more money, but Hooker, who's technically the backup, might play for less. So what might end up happening is KZ got to walk and Hooker got to play. In my mind, I'm fine with that. We'll play Hooker, hopefully draft a free safety, and then we'll just move on in our life about that. But don't mistake that as I think KZ's not playing good football. KZ's playing incredibly, because especially what we're used to in terms of free safety, I just think that's how it's going to play out on the back end. But if Dan Quinn loves him, if Dan Quinn got a like, if he has a say in that room, I think he'll keep KZ over Neal. In my personal opinion, I'm just guessing. And then we got 3 D linemen that I want to talk about, and we'll wrap this up. And this is, I don't want to make this sound like recency bias or whatever, or just, riding a hot wave or anything like that. But first 2 guys I'm gonna say out of those 3 guys, we got Brent Urban and Carlos Watkins, in which I think they both are doing their job. Carlos Watkins has very much so exceeded my expectations, because I expect Carlos Watkins to come in here and do nothing. But when he's on the field and he's playing, Carlos Watkins is solid or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We no hate for Carlos Watkins. He's doing his job. It's interesting because I thought that Brent Urban was going to come in like tear shit up. Brent Urban was like, I don't rock with PFF, but I saw it with my own eyes. Like, he is a run game demon, and to be fair, he's been fine. Like, he's not getting moved or anything like that. Like, if you watch the game and he's hurting out, but if you watch the other games, you see Brent Urban in there, like, they're trying to move him and he's not being moved, and that's fine. Both these guys, for what they're giving you on a 1 year deal, 1.75 or whatever, which is fine. I don't mind any of that, but I'd imagine if you try to re-sign them, they're going to want more money than that. I don't think that's going to be, something that the Cowboys end up doing, giving them more than the veteran minimum, which is why I think that's what we drafted Bohanna for. Like we have these guys, but when they're gone, Bohanna's gonna slide right into that role and just boogie. Now the Cowboys have another option. They can just draft another one tech next year, Jordan Davis from Georgia. Knock on wood if you're with me. We can possibly reach out and try to draft guys like that. I don't think he'll be there at the 32nd overall pick, and I mean it. But I think Justin Hamilton, when he's had the opportunity to play, he's played really, really well. And he doesn't always get that opportunity to play. You know what I mean? But with this recent turn of events that was going on, that got Brent Urban hurt, and we was going into this game versus Dalvin Cook, we probably wanted to have more big bodies than less. Justin Hamilton got a chance to step in and whoop a little bit of ass. Now, just like I said at the beginning of this video, it's not about who's better. It's about where you at relative to the team, your talent, and how much money you gonna want. You know what I mean? Brent Urban is a guy who's on a 1 year deal, not 1 year, 1.7. Now, I think if he was to ever come back and sign, he would want in the threes. If he was like with another team, he'll try to get 3s or 4s. Maybe he'll try to get up to 5 or something like that. Brent Urban is a name. I don't know how the hell he signed for 1.7 here anyway, but he is a name that I think could get some money. I don't think Justin is a guy that's going to demand any money for you. And we're trying to keep this thing as cheap as possible because we're trying to sign Randy. We're possibly looking at what we could do with, Gallup or whatever. The salary cap going up, and we ain't got to allocate a lot of money to free agents next year or whatever, you know what I'm saying, because we got the big name signed already except for Randy. So in my mind, if we want to keep one tech relatively solid, it'll be a rotation of Bohanna and Justin Hamilton, and both those dudes would be cheap for you. So if it was up to me, I don't think Carlos Watkins will be back, even though I think he's doing some solid things this year. Brent Urban probably won't be back, in which he's performed under my expectations, but I still think he's been relatively fine for what we're asking him to do. But if there's a cheap set of one techs / zero tech guys that you want around next year, it'll be Bohanna and Justin Hamilton, and you can feel free to draft a zero in the upcoming 2022 draft if you like. That's all I got for y'all today, man. I just want to drop a little more content. I promise y'all I would drop more content, but I don't want to just hop out and say nothing just for the sake of me dropping videos. I want to take cues from my brother Koye. If he ain't got nothing to say, he don't go live. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of wanted to do that. I wanted to have something interesting to say, but then I want to give y'all more frequent content or whatever with some substance to it. All right. I broke down. We did film sessions this week, right? To where both those film sessions had like 10 or so plays, 11, maybe 9 play, however much I did. If you want the full game breakdowns, you can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/vochlombardi. We're going to do that for the rest of the season and going into draft season. So even in draft season coming around, it's going to be a short film on the YouTube side. We're going to have long film on Patreon. That's how it's going to go. I'm going to up the think pieces. I'm going to up the, the live streams and all that. We're just gonna get more work to y'all, man, because y'all deserve it, and I've been lazy, so I apologize. All right, follow me on Twitter, VOCHLOMBARDI, and y'all hold it down for the Doski Woski, the Peasky Whiskey, bro. Check out my outro. Holla.